Hello and welcome back to the making of the Chapel of Zenith. As you can see on the screen, I have gone ahead and I finished texturing the chapel. So it's all now textured and it's looking pretty good. So in today's video, I'm going to be making the bell tower. So I've gone ahead and I've already brought in my reference image. I'm going to blow that up a little bit just so I can see what I'm doing. So I want to focus on this top part up here. So I think for the top part, we are going to need sort of like this shape. So I'm going to need to make this in sections. So if I make this front part, essentially this is a cube with that bit cut out. So if I do a simple cube here, bring that in. Now as you can see it's not that thick, so I'm going to put it to about there. I don't need it too detailed. So for this, I think what we can do is if we bring it in a cylinder, so I'm just going to turn off the textures just so it doesn't lag. So I'm going to bring in the cylinder. 32 is probably going to be way too high, so I'm going to align that to the view. Now I'm going to turn that down quite a bit. So probably about 7, because it's 1, 2, yeah. And then it kind of comes down. So this is going to be the cutout. So I'm going to bring that in here. And then bring it in. So that's about right for where I want it to be. Make sure I bring it out both sides, back and front. Go into front mode, into edit mode, and those vertices and the back vertices. So I'm going to connect those vertices together. So I'm just going to select them and press. I think it needs to be. I think I need to just select them. So if I select them one at a time, yep, so I'll join those and I'm going to join those. This is just temporarily. So I'm just joining those. This is just so I can get rid of those parts here. So get rid of those vertices. I'm going to bring these in so they're straight. I think that's about the right sort of angle. I may bring them down just a little bit. Just to give that sort of angle there. Bring it to the side. And I'm going to make this part a lot thinner as well. This is going to be the front, so it just needs to come to about here. Because those parts kind of come in. So that's going to be those parts here and here. So this is going to be the very front part of this. So with this selected, I'm just going to go ahead and boolean it. And come to this. Simply apply it, move that out of the way, and now we've got more or less that sort of shape. So what I want to do is these back, so these two back things here, I'm going to bring those down, just so it brings that kind of angle there. ES. So I'm going to need to do them one at a time. think a mirror modifier would do that justice. I'm just going to put that up top there. Make sure center these just a little bit. Join that. And then join the back. This is just so I can delete one side and then mirror it over. So I select one side, I can delete that side. So delete everything that side. And then add on my mirror modifier. Turn off merge. I'll sort out that clipping later. So I want to come into the center here. Press E and S. Bring that in, and I'm going to bring that to here. So you see, it's kind of got like a little hole in it almost. So I will bring that kind of to the top and bottom. Just line it up. I shall delete that face. And then with the edge mode selected, come around, press E and then S, bring it in a little bit. So this is just so I can bring this in and then rotate it so it's smooth, and then that can come inwards. Just so it gives it that kind of hole in the thing part. So I think I will join those together. So just press F. That brings that a nice little part here. So now that's done, I'm going to apply the modifier, come into this side, select that side and bring that right to the edge. Come into vertex mode and then merge these at center. Just because I don't want any gaps. So I've merged that at center. So that's kind of the front part of this. So I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. So first I'll get rid of that. So I'm going to select the vertices down one edge and I'm going to bring that back to about there. So that's looking pretty good. Got to add 2 of these. And I'm just going to line it up. Part here. And line that one up with that one there. And hopefully I can join these. Yep. So if I do them one at a time. So join those up. And those 2 as well. Go into face select mode and select the back faces. I'm going to extrude that right the way back. Then select just these two, extrude those, and then with these, I'm just going to right click and go to bridge faces, just so it gives it that sort of look. So that's kind of this part here. So as you can see, there is a little bit of a bevel up here on these parts that stick out. So what we do, select these top parts here. I'm going to bring those up. So EZ. Let's bring them up to about here. Then up again. Then those front parts. So ES those. So it brings it in a little bit. But they are to there. So I'm just going to bring it out with the extrude. Just angle it down a little bit. Do the same this side. So bring that out. And it is a little bit thinner, so I'm going to taper it in like so, and I'm going to taper these in as well. And that can come down to an angle. I'm going to have that sort of angle and bring it back, maybe up a little bit. Let's do the same with this side. And again, taper it in just a little bit. Bring it down, so it just comes to that sort of line. Bring it back. So that gives it those sort of parts there. So again, I shall do another one of these for the back. Bring that down, bring these out. And then press extrude, bring that out. Again, taper. Go to front side view. It's just so we've got those kind of sloping features, which is for that part there. Then for the top again, we can extrude that again. So bring that up. So I'm going to bring that to there. And again, it's going to need those things that come out. So I'm going to bring that out to about there. I'm going to bring that down. Then all I'm going to do is just taper it. And then put it back into its place. Maybe come out a little bit. It doesn't have to be that detailed, but it just gives it that sort of illusion of those parts kind of coming in. I'm going to bring that down, bring those back out. Make sure that they're in the right place. Bring it out to about halfway. Bring it down. I'm going to need to bring that part down as well. Bring that to here. Just so it gives it that kind of sloping and that's looking okay. So we'll just do the back one here. And again, just extrude that to about there. Bring that down again. And then in wireframe mode, correct the vertices. So we've got those parts. So now what I want to do is I'm going to select those parts only, and I'm going to bring them up to where the roof kind of starts. So I'm going to bring them right the way up to probably about there. There's more or less half, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to add this archway in. So to do that archway, I'm simply going to come out of that, and you remember the door that we did earlier? I'm going to bring that in, center it up, and then I'm just going to edit it so it's a bit smaller. So what I want to do with this is I'll bring it in here. Come into the wireframe mode. Now I want it so it's kind of in between those lines. So I'm just going to bring that in just a little bit, like so. Make it a bit thinner. And then with this selected, actually that needs to be wider, doesn't it? So I want it to basically come over those lines. So again, I'm going to make it, just bring it to there. That should be more or less spot on. Yeah, that's looking okay. It is going to need to be, from the inside, it's going to need a little bit of work, I think. So I'll do, if I select one side, that one side completely, thin it, just so it's nice and thin. that side there. Get rid of those faces at the moment. Make that thinner as well. And just making sure that they're lined up. So making sure that they're both lined up. And that they're on the front just like that. Now all I've got to do, the face selected, so I select that side and that side. I'm going to bridge the edges. So that didn't work. So what I may have to do is just do a mirror. I think a mirror modifier would probably work better, but I kind of like the shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it manually. So I'm just going to extrude this. So I'll extrude that to there. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to extrude that again. I don't want it quite flat. So it's gone, so it went wrong there. Okay. I'm just going to extrude that to the center. Kind of make sure that it follows the curvature correctly. So I want these vertices pretty much to line up. Like so. And I'm going to add in a line here. Just going to bring it in just a little. Just so it gives me that kind of shape that I'm looking for there. So hopefully it's going to be, hopefully the mirror is going to be fine. So I'm just going to mirror it. Yeah, that's looking good. So I apply that mirror. Come into the vertex mode. And simply weld these vertices at the center point. So now that's one. Oh, something went wrong. Just making sure that I've got them all. So that is kind of this part here. So it doesn't have to be exact. So we'll come onto here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another kind of a cut sort of in there. I'm going to bring that forward just so it's just behind that part here. And then this, I can extrude that with confidence right the way up to there. So as you can see, it's looking good. I should do another cut. Bring that forward. And maybe bring those down a little bit. So actually, if I get rid of that cut, and I'm just going to bring those vertices, I'm going to bring those down to about there. Because you're not going to really see much. You know, that can come back up. So what I'm going to do is, as it comes in, I think I need to bring these so making sure they come in both sides, and I'm just going to extrude that to about there. I'm going to flatten it out just a little bit. Best I can. I'm going to bring that back down. So it just comes to just above here. And then these come into side mode. That can be leveled up to there. So now it comes up. So I'm going to select the back part. I'm going to bring that up to about here. And this is the back. So I'm going to go and collapse, not collapse it, but something similar. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to merge those vertices at the center and move, and the back ones as well at the center. So that's a nice triangular shape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my archway here. And I'm going to select these top parts as well. So those parts. And they can come up as well to there. Now all these vertices, just go ahead and anything that's not merged, I shall merge it. Probably needs merging this side as well, yeah. just merge any vertex that needs merging. It's probably going to need to come for the other side as well. Yeah, so that needs... So all these need merging. Make sure that's merged. Just clean it up a little bit. Now what I can do is I can select all these vertices along the top. I'm going to merge those at the center, like so. And I'll do the same for the back as well. Merge those at the center. So again, that's a nice triangular shape there. And that's the bell tower coming along. So all I've got to do is pretty much the roof now for the bell tower. Which what I shall do is if I come into here and into a mesh, I just do another cube. Bring that over here. And then bring it up. I'm going to go ahead and save this. So it can be saved as number 11, that's fine. And I'm going to make this quite thin. So about there. And of course I'm going to do those parts as well. So I bring that. So rotate that to the, like so. Just so it's straight. Bring it to the center and bring it down. So just to the center of the roof there. Bring that out a little bit. Probably can come out a lot more actually. Because it does kind of hang off over the edge there, so then what I want to do is I'm going to come into here again. Bring these vertices this side. And leave that one over there. I'm going to set origin to surface, duplicate it, and rotate it on the z-axis by 180. And then put that aside. Have a look, see how that's done. Looking all right. And again, I'm just going to move probably just those end vertices just out a little bit. And what I'm probably going to end up doing, it is kind of going to destroy the shape a little bit, but I'm not too worried. It's just so it kind of brings it more or less in line with what's behind it, you see. And it gives it that kind of nice little sort of indentation sort of here as it goes up. Of course, that needs to come out again. So that's just a quick merge at last, and that could be that's the back. I'm going to select both parts of the roof, join those up, and then I'm going to come in to the vertice mode, and I'm going to weld those at the center. Do the same for the top and for the back as well. So merge those at the center, and now you can be merged at the center as well. So it's looking pretty good. And then I can just put that on the top, kind of in the middle. Just so it overhangs each side just a little bit. I think it overhangs the back a bit too much. Let's go into wireframe mode. Yeah, it overhangs a bit too much each side. So I'm just going to shrink it down just a little bit. So probably about there. Yeah, that looks about right. Now, since I've already made those bits, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to select that. Select the whole thing. Duplicate just one of them. And then separate it from the rest. Set origin to surface, because that'd be perfect to put onto the roof part here. So I may need to just readjust them a little bit, just so they fit on here. So I'm going to put one at the end there. Pop it in the center. Bring these to the edge. Bring that to the edge there as well. So another one sort of probably about here. No one there. I mean, one more there. Then I think one kind of at the top. Sort of here. So maybe sort of right at the top maybe. See how that looks. So there isn't one right at the top, but there is one below it. So there's only 4 of them. I've got 5. So I'm going to come back in here and space these out a little bit more. Try and get a more or less evenish spacing, but I'm not too worried because you're not really going to see. You're going to see it from sort of there, so I'm not really too worried. As long as there's something there that you can kind of see. So I'm just going to join those, duplicate them, rotate by 180, and then pop those into position, like so. Now I can select that whole thing and join that up. So I'm getting rid of that now. What I do, I just resized it, so I come there. Okay, now obviously it is going to need to be a lot bigger, but we're getting there. So again, just do another cube, and I'm going to bring that to here, just so it's in the center here. And this is where our bell is going to hang from. I don't want a bit of wood too thick. Come to the side. Into wireframe mode. I'm going to bring that back to about here. Bring it up to about there. And maybe make it a little bit bigger in all directions. Not by much though. Because otherwise it looks way too thick. So I'm just going to shrink it down just a little bit. Now save that as well. Okay, get rid of that church reference. And then I'm going to bring in another reference image of this here. So this is going to be the bell. So I think the best way to do that is I'm going to come in and go to my circle. 32 is probably going to be a bit too much. So I'll just bring that down probably to about 20 because I don't want it too bad. So I'm going to bring that down to the very bottom, and that's going to come right the way out to here. And then what I'm going to do is come into edge mode, and I'm going to extrude in the just extrude up. So I need it to go in, and then I'm going to come out. And then I shall follow the shape of this. So like so. I am going in on all directions, just so it's consistent all the way around. So again, and it's just really a case of adjusting it to where I want it. So I can come here, come up again to about here. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do an E and S, and I'm going to bring it in, bring it up. ES again, bring it in, and then up again. So this is just creating that top part of the bell. So just continue following the pattern of bringing it in, bringing it up, just until I know I'm more or less at the top there, which I almost am. I'm going to bring it in again, bring it up a little bit more. So this is where it starts coming out again, so I'm just going to bring that there, extrude it again, just so I've got that nice bit of an extrude there. Bring that in ever so slightly, extrude that up, right to the top. Then I can finish it off by pressing F and filling that in. But I want to do it, yeah, so I just press F, and then I do need to join some things up. Just so I can get that top part of the bell. So I'm going to join those together. I'm going to come here, and that's going to be the top part of the bell. Just so I can join these up, and they are going to be joined up as well, sort of in this direction as well. So I'll do the last couple. So join those up. Join those up. And hopefully I can join those up. Yep. It's just a case of joining up those parts that need joining. The bits that don't, I won't bother with. So just gonna go ahead and finish joining these, and then I can sort out that top part of the bell a little better. And one more. So there we are. So now that top part, so the very end vertices, they need to come down. And I need to select all those in there, all those there. Bring that up. And then those ones as well. So I'll bring those up as well. So as you can see, it just brings it that, just finishes off that nice kind of shape. So I've got that nice sort of bell shape kind of going on there. And I'm simply going to put on a solidify modifier for that. No offset. I'm going to make it quite, well, not that thick, but fairly thick. So probably about there. Apply that. And I'm going to save as this time. So I want to save that as 12 because this is a different model. So that's the bell pretty much done now. I'm just going to move that bell out of the way. So that's the shell, and I want to create this part here on the inside. And again, I think the best way to do that is going to be another circle. Now, 20 is probably going to be too much, so I'm going to bump that down to about 15. And again, I'm going to just line it up. Just more or less in the middle. And it does need to be scaled down. That's more or less kind of right. So the same method as before. This time I also need to do the bottom part as well. So I just need to bring these so it needs to come, so that's going to come right the way down to here. I'm going to shrink that down, and then I'm just going to press F, so it brings it in that direction. Obviously it is way too wide, so I'll select it all, come to the 3, and that's about right. So I can just continue on with this now. So extrude that up and in, up to there. It can come in again. Then it needs to come out. So it comes out. So this just gives it kind of the shape I'm looking for. In. So we're getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off camera. And then when I come back, I'm going to show you the texturing of both of those. So now that I've completed that, I can go ahead and move these into position of where I want them. So I want that one in there and that one in there. I'm going to join those together, and I'm going to add a shade smooth on them. just so we can see what they look like with a shade smooth. Probably a bit too much, but that's looking okay actually. So that's looking okay. So now the belt and the bell tower are done, I can come ahead and start texturing these. So same process as before, create a new material, and I'm going to call this Chapel Bell Tower. Yeah, I probably don't need to rename that, because I'm just going to use the chapel wall texture on this one. So that should be applied. And just wait for it to catch up. Hopefully it won't crash on me. Nope, good. I was hoping it wouldn't crash. So now we've got this rather messy looking thing here. So I'm just going to go ahead and come to my thing here. And I'll just select the back part like so. I'm not too worried about very fine detail of the texture, because you're not really going to see it, so there's no point doing a lot of detail on. So I'm just going to simply just do that. So I'm going to do both sides. So select all the sides. Make sure it's all selected. The same with this side as well. I'm just making sure that these are all selected. And I'm going to do these as well. There's both sides. Just unwrap those. Like I said, I'm not too worried about unwrapping these, so I'm just going to do the front now. So it's exactly the same process as I've done before. Just make sure all the front parts are connected there. This just so it gives it that nice little bit of texturing. Because you're going to see it from a distance. Like I said, I'm not really too worried about it looking really spot on. But I cannot leave it obviously blurred like it was. So it's a little bit of editing here and there. Not loads, but it's just enough to cover these parts here. The hardest part doing this, and it takes the longest as well because it just takes so long to actually select all the things that need selecting. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off. The main purpose is just so it looks like it's meant to look and not strange like that part looks, if you get me. Because obviously if you come up to it and you see that, that's not right. So it needs to at least resemble something of a texture. Now I will do I'm going to keep these underneath parts. So I'm going to texture them. So that's that pretty much done. So I'm just going to come into the beam part here. I'm going to add the wood texture to that. Then again, I'm not too worried about unwrapping it. It's looking pretty good. So a few little bits and pieces needs doing, like these parts. So I'll just unwrap that. So I must have missed out my initial go through. And anything that can be seen, I'll just unwrap. Just so it gives it that nice look to it there and there and there. I'm not worried about unwrapping these up here. They simply don't need to be unwrapped. Okay, so that's the bell tower pretty much done. So I'm just going to select all that, join that together. So that's one piece now. So I'm just going to put this into place, because it is going to need to be a lot bigger than it is now. But we're just going to get it into position. Just so we can see what it looks like. It's looking pretty good. So I'm just going to bring it out by quite a bit. So bring it out back and front. It just overhangs just a little bit like that. And it is going to need to be a bit taller as well, so I'm just going to bring it up a little bit taller. Let's bring it out a little bit more. And that looks pretty good. I think what I will do though for this top part here, if I just quickly select that top, and I'm just going to add in the blue texture. So I'm just going to assign that to there. Just so it finishes it off really. And I'm going to make those that nice blue as well. Just so it looks like it's part of the actual roof, because all these roof kind of parts are blue anyway. So I'm just going to make those blue like so. add that to here, make it a little bit thinner. There we are. So I've now joined all that up. Now the bell should be all joined up as well, which it is. Brilliant. So we're just doing the same as what we did before. So I'm just going to create a bell. So the bell text into my shading, into my textures, and I do have in here somewhere bronze. So this kind of bronzy texture. So I'll just select those, pop them in, come back to modeling. Let's just see how that's. Yeah, so that's come on quite well. I'm not too worried about that. Okay, now that can come here. Just going to get it into position now. It will need to be resized, obviously, but for now, we're just putting it into place. Shrink it down. There you go, just bring it into place. And that's the bell tower. And the rest of it pretty much done now.